But I've made multiple videos on this before, explaining where do these people come from and who are these people. Well, a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, just kidding, you had the Greeks and the Etruscans occupying areas, and there was a group of people that lived right around here that were known as the Latins. The Romans, the city of Rome, this is where the Latins come from, Latia or whatever. You had the Etruscans up here ruling this area. They came down as far down as Rome. The Romans finally threw them off. You had the Greeks that were in Sicily and southern Italy that originated from here, and they were also all over Anatolia, right? Now, when they got strong enough, I believe it was Tarquin the Proud, Tarquinius Superbus, they threw him off. And they kicked the Greeks out of southern Italy. Now there was Etruscans, there was Samnites, Sabines, Ligurians, whatever. And there was also Celts up here. So let's have that stand for Latins instead of Celts. So they kicked the Celts out of northern Italy and they took over this area, all right? All this stuff. And the Etruscans, the Samnites, the Ligurians, the Latins, these were all basically the same people. They weren't a Greco people from over here. They were not Celtic. The Celts actually had reigned from basically almost all of here, through all of here. Basically, they didn't have this. This was Germans. These were all the Germanic people. So they kicked them out. And they were ruling. These people were an olive-skin people, but also they had also colonized this area for a while. Before the Roman Republic, during the Roman Republic, same people trading, same climate, everything. But eventually, when the empire started up, all this is Latin. And they did what the Anglo-Saxons would do about 1,000 years later. Basically in a campaign of extermination and replacement here. Same thing kind of in here. They kicked out the Greeks. Still some Greek blood in Syracuse. They also took over a little bit over here. And they also took over, and I'll just use blue for this. Here, took over here and here. Now, there always had been, and still is, a sizable population of Celts up here, north of Portugal and the northwest of Spain. Just like how, but see this blue right here? Just like how the Celts were in Britain and pushing Ireland and everything, just like how the Celts had a settlement over here in Anatolia. You had the Horde, the Visigoths, the Vandals, the Lombards, the whatever, came through, and the Franks were pretty ruthless, and they did a resettlement population here. The Lombards were pretty bad, but they basically just took over. That's really what introduced the blonde hair to northern Italy, or the Lombards, because the Lombards and the Franks, guess where they came from? That area. So the Latin peoples, from about the time of the end of the barbarian migration to the Reconquista, are Italy, Spain, and Portugal. Celts are still up there. The Basques are on the border here. Sorry for my bad, drawing. But some people say, oh, Romania, they're the real Latins. Well, no, they're Slavs. These are Slavs over here. This probably was Celtic area until the Slavs came in. And this was Gaul, which was Celtic. So like Britain for a while, these were Latino Celts. Boom, these are gone, just like there are no Celts here. They're driven over into this little part of Wales and in Ireland. That's where the Celts are. These people are Anglo-Saxons and Jutes coming from where? The Frisia, Denmark, Anglo-Saxons, Jutes, these people. fast forward, well, it's the end of the Reconquista, you go over to the Americas. What did these people do? They interbred with the people. So you have Latin Americans, basically. Now, there are groups of people who speak, I'll butcher it, Nahuatl or whatever it's called, the language of the Aztecs, and many indigenous Amerindian people who refuse, absolutely refuse to be called Hispanic, Latino, Mexican, or whatever country that's Latinized. Because they're not Hispanic, they're not Latino, and they don't want to be Mexican or whatever government is over them, because they're not. They don't have any of that blood. They didn't accept the culture. None of it. Now, while the French, who are German stock, speak a Romantic language, and the Romanians who speak a Romantic language are Slavic, they're not of Latin blood. Now, yeah, it was just one group who was known as the Latins, but all of our words kind of come from someplace different, right? You know, not everybody who's Latin comes from the exact Latin tribe. This is just a way of talking about things. Like we say Byzantine, everybody knows what we mean, or Greek. Greek comes from, you know, I think it was Hellenos were the people, right? Or we say, we talk about China, they're Chinese. Well, not all of them come from the area where the Qin ruled, and that's not it. So, you know, it's who cares? Or Africa, are those people African? Well, they can't be. They come from Rwanda, and Africa was only the areas that were west of Egypt. No. So remember all these ethnic whatever, because when they came over and they settled this area, they drove out the Celts up to the north, land, language, culture, system of trade, and they kept in contact with these people. Dark, olive-skinned people. And, okay, to clear up the black Hebrew Israelites, olives were never black until modern day. Food processing, storing them, and, you know, lye. So olives, these dark olive-skinned people, not like the Greeks, and not like the Celts. So that's who we refer to as the Latins, who went over to the Iberian. So those are the Latin peoples. Why are Latin Americans known as Latinos? Because most of them are mestizos. 98% of Nicaragua is mestizo, which means you have Native American blood and Latin blood. There are some parts of Mexico that still have Indians in them. Bolivia has a big Indian population. That's pretty much it. And the very interior of Brazil. But that's who the Latinos are, or the Latins. Now, there's many people say, oh, the Latins are only Latin America. Well, there were no Latins in the Americas before Christopher Columbus, right? The Spanish, the Portuguese, and the Italians, these are you can kind of think of the Latin America as the child, if you want to, the Portugal and Spain as the mother, and Italy as the grandmother, right? But that doesn't mean that the Celts who once lived here are also Latins, and doesn't mean that the Greeks are Latins. This is a people we're looking at, you know? And it does, yes, mean that the Sabines and the Samnites are Latins, but when you go back to them speaking about that at that time period, no, they're Sabines, Samnites, Latins. It's what it grew into, and how we categorize it and talk about it, right? Just like sometimes it'll speak about Gauls and Celts. Well, the Gauls are the Celts, but in some writings they refer to some people as Celts and other people as Gauls, right? Same thing. All right, peace to you. Now I got 3 comments in the last 3 days, so I figure I should just make a video about this on its own, because I mentioned this in probably like 10 videos in the past. So this will just be the video I point to.